headquarters near the Kenyatta Hospital are the Anti-Terror Police Unit and Nairobi Regional Headquarters. We restate that only mission of OSU squad is to assassinate or grievously harm Azimio leaders and Kenyans protesting against harmful government policies. OSU is a squad Kenya Kwanza resolved to cooperate with, supposedly to ensure that there is no loss of life and livelihoods. It is a squad that will kill people tomorrow and during upcoming protests. We thank Kenyans on Twitter and on social media because they on their part have been able to pick on this killer squad and spread it all over. Of course, we are still gathering evidence in this regard. I now call on Mheshimiwa Mother Karua to make the rest of the statement.
Where have you reached? The party further notes, before then, Samahani, the government has entered into a public-private partnership with militia to cripple freedom of assembly and protests. The party further notes that the security withdrawal comes days after William Ruto promised kusafirisha Honorable Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. Indeed, we remain eternally grateful to Mr. Ruto for uttering those words. Out of the abundance of his heart, his mouth spoke. It is a warning. It also comes days after Ruto openly instructed Kenya Kwanza to recruit and arm supporters for a confrontation with protesters. Ruto has called his supporters to Kenya's version of Armageddon. The meeting held at State House last Saturday was clearly a planning meeting. It came up with a clear command, control, funding, and mobilization of resources and people structures for purposes of carrying out genocide. Its resolutions are already being implemented in various parts of the country, where some governors are mobilizing people to counter protesters. It is also taking the shape of greater surveillance being conducted around our leaders' homes and offices, which are being surveyed by people in unmarked vehicles. What Ruto decreed in State House last week is part of what is going on in Sondu, Kericho, and Kisii-Kericho boundaries, where an ethnic militia is being armed against local communities. The militia has protection of the police. The events in Sondu are expected to be replicated in other parts of the country in coming days. We further take note that although Kenya is not at war, all police and other security officers have been recalled from leave to deal with protesters. The provisions of the Constitution on the right to protest notwithstanding, Ruto is at war, not just with Azimio, but with the entire Kenyan population, especially those who do not support him. We appeal to our neighbors in the region not to join Ruto's war against Kenyans. Our neighbors must not supply Ruto with tear gas and ammunition to fight Kenyans. Our crime is only that we have challenged Ruto to bring down the cost of food, reconstitute the IEBC in a way that includes all players, also to audit the last year's presidential elections and to respect political parties As leaders, we have reached the decision that we shall fear not those who